Is it okay to want luxury? Or does that mean I'm materialistic? And even if I am, is there anything wrong with that? Words like the material tend to be used in different ways, and typically the term materialistic is a pejorative term. It's a negative thing. You're saying that person lacks substance, or caring about the things that really matter. So with the material, it's important to appreciate that a lot of the time when we think about goods and possessions and objects, probably a more helpful way of thinking about it is how those things are used rather than the things in and of themselves. Because most things can be used for good or to create harm in the world. And that might be a better distinction than just thinking about things and whether things in and of themselves are good or bad. It's how we relate to those things. It's what those things do for us. It's whether we use those things as tools or whether we kind of get consumed by them. And the problems, I suppose, of materialism, because, the bottom line is it's up to you what you do, that this is really up to you to decide what your values are and what matters to you in life. But I suppose the pitfalls, where it goes badly, where it's a problem, is where self-worth gets replaced by external things, symbols of supposed status. And then we're placing our attention or spending our time or efforts or our money trying to pursue those things and failing then to develop who we are as a person. So that self-worth, in a sense, that's there from the beginning. We're just looking outside for it. And when we have these external status symbols, these objects, then sometimes what we allow ourselves to do is we allow ourselves to feel some of what we technically had all along, but we were just excluding from our day-to-day experience because we felt we needed to pursue something on the outside. Now, if that worked, you could say, well, why does it matter? But the problem is it tends not to be sustainable for a few reasons. One, because we will tend to become aware of other things that we may want. So then it becomes the carrot on the stick for the donkey. We're not really achieving it. So it's kind of a never-ending pursuit. And the other problem is very often these things are very comparative. It's about looking at what other people have versus what we have. And the problem is if you play that game, I don't say you're inevitably going to lose it, but you're probably going to lose it on some level. Because, what are you going to be? You're going to be the world's best astronaut and the world's best brain surgeon? Are you going to have, the largest collection of cars? Are you going to, also have the best singing voice? Are you going to... There's so many things, there's so many areas that you can excel in, so many objects that you might have. So if you base your identity on trying to accumulate more than other people, it's a difficult position to be in, and you put yourself in a very vulnerable position by doing that. So instead, if you're switching your attention inwardly a little bit more, you then are in a position where you can start to, it's not even to cultivate who you are, because you're already who you are, but it's to recognize who you are and then maybe practice exploring that. Because you are already who you are, but it's a different thing to then notice some of the qualities and abilities and aspects of who you are, and then to practice using those things in the world in a meaningful way. And that's probably more what we would like to do. So if we can use material things as tools, then that's different. So if you have abilities, by all means, why not use material things to help develop your abilities that you have? That's absolutely fine. They're just tools. And while a certain amount of minimalism is completely okay, and we've explored that a bit more in other videos, minimalism can be useful. The issue with the minimalism is that as human beings, we really are tool-based creatures. We use tools, and it's our very nature. We use technology. And technology, by the way, technology is the same as the word technique. It doesn't mean something you plug in necessarily. Electric stuff is new, but technology isn't. Technology includes clothing. It includes methods of doing things, processes and procedures for farming. It's very, very universal what technology means. So we're just not self-sufficient in that way as human beings, that we can step back from the world. So we're inevitably going to interact with it. We're going to use tools. We're going to create things and make things. So I think to try and suppress that too much is probably going to be counterproductive. However, we need to catch ourselves a little bit as well, because we can easily fall into accumulation mode where we trying to gather things. So one of the issues as well with this is that even if we can get lots of stuff, there's a duality to that, because assets very often tend to be liabilities as well. So like one example of this is if you have a fancy new car, really expensive car, okay, you might like that. But of course, what comes with that then is fear, potentially, on a few different levels. One might be just the cost of it. For some people, that may not be an issue. However, what may be there is worry about what happens. Does it get scratched? Where can you park it? Is it going to get stolen? People looking at you, maybe you like that some of the time, but you mightn't like it at other times, depending on what the context is. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes with that. Now, again, that's absolutely fine. If that's your thing, maybe you're a car person, cool, and you want to go with that. But you want to do that balance, I suppose, and say, is this actually a net positive for me, considering the liabilities that are there? So what happens is, having a few nice things might be okay, but if you get into accumulation mode, you end up then with a bunch of stuff, and that stuff has to be protected, it has to be maintained, there's costs involved in that, and even if money wasn't an issue, time is an issue. So, you end up getting other people to do it. And then the question is, well, where are you in the picture? What was really the point of this all along? So you could consider what you might call the luxury of less. So the luxury of less is where you have, well, maybe you've no car at all, so you don't have to worry about any of those liabilities. That's nice. But maybe you need a car, but you have a car that's a little bit older. It's already got a few scratches on it. So the luxury you have there, if you come out of the supermarket and somebody's just, dented into it, and you look at it and you go, yeah, whatever. Maybe it looks better than it did before. There's something really nice about that as well. On the other side, you're not that worried. There's the paperwork and all the bits and pieces trying to pursue it. It just mightn't matter that much to you compared to if this is a new car, and then there's so much more that needs to be done as a result. So these are the kinds of considerations. Now, it's nice that these aren't all or nothing. You might have some nice things and then a few beat up things that do the job. You probably want things that work, of course, because if it's constantly causing you problems, that may be a bit of an issue. So materialism in this sense, then, I think stepping away from the goods owning you, it being about your pursuit of them, I think that's the key distinction. Instead, switching into that mode where it's about you and who you are, and by all means then bringing things into your life that enrich it and make it better, but making sure that you're doing that balance to ensure that you're not spending more time really being a servant to the things that you have, rather than them being tools that empower you and free you up and make your life a bit better. If you found this valuable, do like, subscribe, and share. And what's your experience? Do you have any questions or topic suggestions? You can contribute in the comments, on social media using hashtag bodymindself, or on jfl.com.